All right, welcome everyone to today's episode of Is It Prophecy here on Israel National Radio. I'm Ruth Sheva, and the show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. And also you can find me on JApp. JApp is a Jewish application which has lectures from historians and rabbis as well as episodes of this program. To find more about JApp, you can do to their website, www.j-app.me. And, of course, you can email me at messiahhour@gmail.com. Bringing back on today's program, the rabbi from Mazel.com and GerGear.com, Rabbi David Katz. How you doing, Rabbi?
Hi, Ari. Thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be here with you and your audience.
Indeed, and one of the questions that's been on my mind for a long time, for several years, and on many people's minds, is Judaism, our religion, is it a racist religion? We have things, intermarriage, we're not allowed to marry people who are not Jewish, we're called the chosen people. So let's start with that. Is Judaism a racist religion?
I don't care if they are white, black, yellow, or green, right? Or how's that joke from Rich Hedberg? You ever heard that joke? I don't care if they're black, white, purple, or green. Oh, come on. Purple people? Forget the purple people.
Right.
No, that's always a joke that enters my mind. But, no, racism in religion, particular Judaism, this is a hot topic. In my line of work, it's extremely hot. You're talking about non-Jews and Jews coming together. For those that don't know, my work with the Noahide world, as it's being branded now as the Ger movement, if there is such a thing. As the Jews are in the land, we are a light to nations. We're reaching out to the non-Jews. And, look, Jews are news, right? That's how it's always been. And in the era where news is every second on Twitter and everything else, it's very apropos. So I'm going to just boil this down into a simple answer, right? And then obviously we have a lot of issues to cover today. But the simple answer, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, this is gonna be the same answer over and over and over again. The Jewish people were given a Torah, let's just call it a long time ago, and we've been in 2,000 years of this particular exile, and you've seen everything come and go, right? A Roman Empire, a Holocaust, Nazism, right? You name it. Time of holy matrimony between the genders, gay issues, racial issues. We saw slavery in America, right? The Jewish people, if they've been around the whole 2,000 years, you know, as a consistent entity, they've seen it all, right? And the whole bottom line is the Jew has acclimated himself through his learning in Torah to really properly position himself and understand the world around him. So a lot of, let's say, just for example, Jewish thoughts of Christianity largely comes from the medieval time period. A famous rabbi term, we call him the Ramban, and he had famous debates. I forget exactly with who, but Christian or Catholic, again, I don't know the exact terminology, what do you want to call it, Christian, Catholic, but the Christian world. And he was defending Judaism. Now, a lot of those principles that were laid down at that time may or may not be applicable today, right? And the commentators discuss this. Jesus as Messiah and God, is it the same today as it was then? A lot of people say no. That the evangelical movement, Protestant movement, Jesus is a different viewpoint than, let's say, the Catholic Church from back then. So a lot of the views that we have, let's just say, does the Jew want to hang out with a non-Jew? The protocol, let's just say, to the negative, was when there was a church across the street from your synagogue, and there were baseball bats and bashing skulls on either side, defending themselves. I mean, we hear about this in New York a lot. So, the whole protocol, we don't hang out with each other and vice versa. And that was a time when that was apropos. But nowadays, is it the same Christian? Is it the same everything? And even if it is the same, the learning passed down may come across as a bit foul, but it had its time and place. But the point is it's being reiterated and perpetuated, the learning, without really updating the files, updating the program, who's who, what's what. I mean, the Jews are in the land of Israel now. So there's always this kind of, I mean, I think all racism kind of stems from bad learning, doesn't it? And, the Jews are not racist by nature, but we have protocol in established learning that I wouldn't say it's wrong. I just think that maybe there's new added dimensions of context in the modern era which we are a part of.
Yeah, there was at one point, there wasn't a Jew and a non-Jew, it was a Jew and an anti-Semite. That was it.
Right.
And nowadays, things do change. I mean, there are a lot of people that are not Jewish that support Israel. A lot of people listening to the show who are not Jewish that support myself, yourself, and Israel. Let's continue on. I want to talk about the chosen people concept. That's a concept that even non-Jewish people say. Christians and even Muslims. Muslims call the Jews the people of the book. Not the same as the chosen people, but you get it to the high status. But if the Jews themselves refer to themselves as the chosen people, isn't that racist?
So, I've battled this a lot. And I think this is one of the biggest things I felt like I had to conquer when I first started teaching the non-Jew. Right? Number one, there's nothing worse than when I heard about Noahides who would convert because there was no other option of ger at that time. And what do they say? It's do your 7, go to heaven. That's one of the things they say. If you don't convert, and if you convert, you say, now I'm in the palace. I mean, come on. Nobody, in Judaism, no one holds it that way. It's not how we view it. And I think it was presented, we say, but, I am of the chosen people. We are, okay. That's like, if it even says that. I mean, it's context and everything. It needs to be unestablished. But when I was trying to teach, I thought, if I'm going to go on the air and I'm going to teach a class, and okay, here we go. It's going to come up, blah, 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 and the Jews are the chosen people. I thought, what do you call the non-Jew or the ger? And again, I'm just kind of rattling off ideas with my study partner, who, by the way, was a Noahide. I was saying, are they, and again, this was not literal what I was saying in terms of I was going to actually say this on the air. But it's, are they the special people, or the nice people, the friendly people, the also chosen people, the saintly people, right? And this whole discussion, what do you call them? And I'm not saying if there even is an answer. And what it comes down to is really understand, if you're a Jew, what you are, and the non-Jew, understanding what they are, just in terms of humanity. And I'm going to just dodge the issue because every situation is unique. If there's a case where the Jews were given the Torah, so yeah, they were chosen to have the Torah, right? I think it gets into muddy waters when you treat it like a dogma, because then you're going to get lazy with it and just say, well, I'm the chosen, you're not. Then you get the whole thing started again. And again, it's motivated by improper learning, or let's say conscientious learning. But I'll say this on this point, and Chaim, my co-author in the book, The World of the Ger, he'll already like this today. It was, we need to stop focusing on Jews as the chosen people, whatever you feel about that in history, right? And let's start to transition from a chosen people to a light to nations people, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, right? The chosenness is, a Jew is to be in the land, associated with the temple and being a light to the nations. And the nations are those that receive the light, and they are, they believe in Hashem, they fear God, and they want us to appear in the temple as well. So the terminology isn't outdated or wrong. It just needs a greater high HD context to go along with it.
Again, this is a Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. And, of course, you can find me on JApp, www.j-app.me. Check me out there. Email messiahhour@gmail.com. And we're continuing the conversation with Rabbi David Katz, author of the brand new hit book, The World of the Ger. Rabbi Katz, I want to throw a bit of a curveball at you. I know for a long time I've heard of a concept that says Esav hates Yaakov. and apparently it's halacha. And Esav is, I guess, supposed to represent the non-Jewish world. What exactly does it mean when it says Esav hates Yaakov? Because that to me would also sound racist if we as Jews are saying that the non-Jew hates us.
So there's something called Mazel, right? Number one, you're going to say Jews don't believe in Mazel. Well, you're wrong. They do. There's two kinds of Mazel. There's Mazel Elyon, which is the spirituality of Shefa, or bounty, that comes from God to you, the person. And there's Mazel, astrological constellation, that I believe a lesser God, or worker, or agent of God, gives me my stuff. So it's kind of like a dirty kind of like, give me my stuff. So the idea of the idolatrous ways views it as, as long as I get my stuff and it's time. In Judaism, Torah, Jewish spirituality says God sends his blessings and works with man. Right? So there's knowledge of what's called Mazel Elyon, which comes from the language to drip, Mazel. All of Kabbalah is predicated on that point, right? Working with God to receive your portion of this world, to develop and cultivate. And what you don't do is you just rely on mediums, right? Emissaries, just seasonal things where it's like clockwork, punch in, punch out. And so that's really the difference between that. Now, the idolatrous ways is the ways of those who are against the truth, because Mazel dictates it to be as such. Those that are, let's say, in the upper Mazel and aware of it, they have a Mazel or a pattern too, right? They're going to be, as King Solomon writes in Proverbs, his way is to look for, let's say, the divine feminine, which is revelation of the Shekhinah in Torah, which ultimately leads to husband and wife, right? In a totally rectified setting of male-female, where the woman is liberated, the repair of Adam and Eve has occurred, and you live in a messianic era. Now, the idolatrous way would say Jesus is God, let's just say, right? And man is superior to woman, right? Eve brought about the sin in the garden. Therefore, anything that goes against that, I'm going to argue, right? Anything that you say, and then the church is constructed around this. So anything you say is a threat to me. And if you're going to talk about, liberating Chava or Eve and all these things, that's the truth, and I can't have the truth. So there's a mazel or a pattern that comes out by the character that you play according to the Torah, which is the blueprint of reality. Again, every nation is going to play out its card as long as it's in the realm of idolatry in a sunken state. Now, don't think the Jews are exempt of this, right? Because the Jews can enter a sunken state as well. That's why you have the curses in like two partials of the Torah. If you fall in a sunken state, X, Y, Z is going to happen to you in exile, because you're going to be perceived in a certain way. So our job is to align ourselves with a higher mazel by really relating to the hand of God and being a light to the nations to show them the hand of God in the universe, so that really there is no Esav hates Yaakov. There is Israel makes Gerim in the world, and Esav Gematria Shalom 376. The world is filled with peace and harmony of the light of Torah.
All right, and continuing with this theme, a question of Judaism is racist, or racism, if you will. I want to talk about Shabbat, because Shabbat is mentioned as a gift from Hashem to the Jews. The Jews are obligated to keep it in. It's considered a treasure. It's considered holy. But what a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to bring up something a little bit that might be problematic, but it is true that a non-Jew, not only are they not supposed to keep it, but if they do keep it, they're technically chayav mita. It means the death penalty. It's a very serious crime for a non-Jew to keep Shabbat. Now, Rabbi Katz, with all due respect, doesn't that sound racist?
You should hear the din what happens if they eat gefilte fish.
They throw up, I think.
Oh man, we're talking. That's Gehenim on Gehenim, and with the chrein, it's a double portion. The party line goes, and all these isms are party line. That does not mean false. It means needs context and understood in context. Right? Party lines are not false. Again, they need understood from where they were told. Party line. A non-Jew who keeps Shabbos is chayav misa. Death penalty. Rabbi Katz, is that true or false? That is true. It says that. Where does it say it? Why does it say it? The Rambam is what brings it down. Hilchos Malachim, chapter 10, halacha 9. In regards to the goy akom idolater, right? Your any portion of Torah interest at all. This guy is only interested in doing it. He is saying to himself, I have 7 laws, they say, and you know what? I think I happen to deserve the 8th law. The Jewish Sabbath is important to me. It's particular to me. You say, are you saying, Buster Bob, that you have 8 laws, so to speak? He would say, yeah, you can say that. Death penalty, right? He is rewriting his own code of Torah here. Now then the Rambam will say, in the commentators on the Rambam, it's not a literal death, it's by the hands of heaven. So number 1, there goes your sledgehammer and axe to the throat, right? Gone. Number 2, it pertains to the idolater, who it's not just a crime of trespass, which it also is that. He's doing it for an intention, right? If anyone shows up, if I go hanging out in the girls' restroom looking for a date, that might be a problem, right? You can't say, well, come on, the guy needs a date. What can you do? Right? You don't get a permission slip to go infiltrate the other side to find out what they're doing. If you want to find out what they're doing, then the Torah says, be a ger. Right? You don't have to convert. You don't have to remain a 7-law person. There's another area called ger. The Rambam brings it in the very next law. It's a ger toshav. It's the 4th house of Israel. It's he who is the biblical Noahide and is allowed to take on more commandments. The Talmud says explicit in the tractate Krisus 9a. The ger toshav keeps Shabbat not like a Jew. For his own sake, he performs what a Jew would not be allowed to do, creative work, as he wishes, according to 3 general ways of doing it brought down to the Talmud. Either like a Jewish holiday, which we're allowed to break the law on a holiday, as opposed to Shabbos, or like the intermediary days, like the days in Sukkot, or like a regular day. Rashi then also explains, another commentator to the Torah, this day is a beautification of the non-Jew to say, I am really not an idolater, right? God created the world, there is no other. My appreciation or saying, God gave Shabbos to the Jews, I say amen, and I keep it my way, amen. I am giving amen that God created the world, gave the Torah to the Jewish people. I am a part of that in my own way. Therefore, I have renounced idolatry to the point where I intend to remove it from the world. And I want to just bring up one point on this. And we forgot to talk about this. I want to bring it up now. Does the non-Jew have a soul? There's a hot racist point, right?
Sure.
The answer is yes, they do. So then you're going to say, but the Chabad, books, Tanya say they don't have a soul. And I'm going to say context, party line once again. The idolater is so buried in unholy things, and he's punching in, punching out. He's not in touch with his soul. The ger who has left idolatry entered the Mazel of Israel. He is expressing his will in Torah, has a soul. Then you're going to say, is it the same as the Jew? And I'm supposed to say, no, it isn't. And then you're supposed to say, you see? And the answer to come back on that is, there are male and female aspects of souls. Jews, in this regard, have a male aspect of the soul, a ger, non-Jew, but member of the 4th house of Israel. They have a female soul. It does not mean that they are feminine, right? It means that the Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, Nefesh, 5 levels of soul are expressed in him or her one way, and in the Jew, who has the same 5 levels, is expressed another way. And that is not to say one is better or lesser, right? Who's better, a male or female? Because male and female literally also have different types of souls. So who's better? The wisdom of the man or the wisdom of the woman? You have to have both. So too the Ger and the Jew, both of their souls are necessary to really come together to understand the whole Torah's view of divinity in the universe. They're both essential. The Jew is often led away from Torah and must become a Baal Tshuva. Right? Even if you're religious from birth, you must discover your soul in a realm of Tshuva. Look at King David. The non-Jew is placed in what's called Klippa, which is like the mundane world. His job, this is like Abraham. He has to come to terms, in grips with his soul. So they're both coming into their soul, but they're placed in different areas to achieve that. The Jew will end up becoming the light to nations when he grasps his soul. The non-Jew will receive that light when he recognizes his soul. Then they have a partnership and is predicated, love the Ger and give sustenance and vitality to the Ger.
All right, we're going to take a break in a few minutes. On the other side, we're going to talk a bit about the quote-unquote caste system, why there are Kohanim that have certain privileges that Israelites don't have, and it's interesting because Rabbi Katz is a Kohen, so he'll be able to give us some personal examples. I will also talk about racial stigmas. If you notice, a lot of times in the media, in movies, Jews are made fun of. I don't know if anyone ever noticed that. We'll talk a bit about that and why that is. Also, why are Jews not considered a minority? Before we go to break, I want to mention again I'm on JApp. That is www.j-app.me. And JApp can be downloaded from Google Play stores. That website, JApp, has lectures from historians and rabbis, as well as episodes of this program, so go ahead and check it out. Again, www.j-app.me. And, of course, my YouTube channel. This show is a prophecy on Arutz Sheva, Israel National Radio. Is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis, you'll be able to see episodes of this show and episodes in the past, such as those of Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Dr. Joe Schroeder, Rabbi Ken Spiro, the list goes on. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free to do so, and you can check out all the episodes. We're very happy with the amount of subscriptions we're getting. We want it to continue. The more subscriptions I get, the higher the show will rank in a YouTube search, and more people will be able to find out about it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any ideas of topics or interviews you'd like me to conduct in the future, please send me an email at messiahhour@gmail.com. And if you'd like to make a financial donation to the program, you can do so through my PayPal account, which is israelsportsradio@yahoo.com. We'll take a quick break and have more on the other side with Rabbi David Katz. This is a Prophecy on IsraelNationalRadio.com.